I'm going to give you a little bit of the origin of Harajuku Tattoo.
What's your origin story?
Yes, origin story. Okay, so Harajuku Tattoo started in 2017. I created Harajuku Tattoo as a response to the just like environments I had found myself in as a tattoo artist. I often felt like as an empathic person and a very soft kawaii, artist, I was often like, not quite in an environment that really supported that. And I noticed that a lot of my clients, we're also kawaii girls, guys, and non-binaries, and they would really feel uncomfortable in like, these, rock metal shops. And I was just like, it's time for a space to be created. So it was for both my clients and for me. And I started my shop. Harajuku Tattoo was born in a little tiny, like less than, I want to say it was like 100 square feet room. It was so tiny. And it was just me for like, I think about maybe like a year before I started working with other people. And it was, oh man, let me see if I can remember, because it's 2022 now. It's been almost 5 years. So Harajuku Tattoo, when it first started out, was a little tiny room, and it was like pastel turquoise, and I had these little paper lanterns and all these little LED lights, and it was so cool. And literally everyone who would come to the shop would be so impressed, and I'd be like, it's so tiny, and they'd be like, oh my God, I love it. And I'd be like, thank you. Now it's like 5 years later, and I'm still in kind of a small shop, but I've learned that this is actually perfect for the type of environment that I like to provide for my clients, because it's small, it's charming, it's quaint, it's private. You're the only person who I'm working with, so you have my full attention. And I make sure that we go over our boundaries, how to communicate properly if you need a break, and it's a nice calm environment. I mean, Harajuku Tattoo is very special. I even have like a little crystal grid that goes throughout the shop, and I use rose quartz and black tourmaline and selenite to create basically a vortex of healing and love, and just like help you to just transmute. Because oftentimes when people are getting tattooed, it's a cathartic experience. A lot of trauma is being released. So I try to use I use these tools to help with facilitating a safe release for myself and also my client. So Harajuku is more than just kawaii. It's very spiritual and very informed, very trauma informed, and also very informed about like people who, like myself, are neurodivergent. So
I would also throw in there too that because our spaces are like similar in heartbeat and voice, and just what we provide for customers, especially that I would also add in that Harajuku Tattoo, same as Little Ink Play Shop, is also emotionally intelligent.
Definitely emotionally intelligent.
So where a lot of shops,
absolutely,
a lot of like old school shops, come from, harsher spaces. And I think as we gain more consciousness into like who we are, we become more self-aware, we become more aware of our needs. And then we also become aware of like the needs of other people who we're attracting, if that makes sense. So then we become far more emotionally intelligent, and then especially both as empaths, then it's like, okay, but no, I'm really sensitive to this, so please tell me. Like, and people are just like, wait, I can tell you that here? And it's like, yes, I can already feel it, please go ahead and let it out.
Yes, I'm definitely big on making sure that like I inform my clients when I have the emotional capacity or the mental capacity for that, because there are times where I don't, just because we work with so many people. I do my best to make sure that I communicate our boundaries. And as someone who has ADHD and is non-medicated or not medicated, I have to work really hard to make sure that I don't get distracted. So a lot of times I will communicate with my clients that like, hey, let's keep our conversation to a minimal, just because like today I'm having, a little bit of trouble with, being distracted. And I want to make sure that you get the best experience possible. And then we take breaks and we have time to express, how it's going, how we're feeling, doing our check-ins. So creating this structure coming from a background, with the traditional tattooing where none of that exists, it's basically just straight trauma dumping or just like no consideration for anybody's like personal unique boundaries. It's just get them in and get them out, like
yeah.
I think that, okay, so I had 2 apprenticeships during my journey. My first one was when I was 17 and it lasted about a year. And my second one was when I was 24 and it lasted about 2 years. And this is where I mentioned working like 7 days a week, 8-hour days, which is like kind of like, first of all, unlawful for regular, type of job. But with tattoo apprenticeships in the tattoo industry, it's very unconventional and it's very like self-regulated. So you do go through some experiences that you wouldn't normally accept, from a regular job, because in exchange for your time, you're receiving a skill, but at the same time, you're sacrificing a lot of things that, are your support system for your well-being. So during my apprenticeship, I did work for free, and fortunately I lived with my parents, but because I had an apprenticeship, I lived with my parents till I was almost 30. I wasn't really able to like, use that time to do other things that, would have helped me have a better mental health. But, for the sake of learning the skill, I ended up having to do these things. Now, the aftermath of it is that, well, when you are an apprentice, it does require you to like sacrifice, to sacrifice a lot. And there's still parts of myself that I'm still reclaiming from that sacrifice. And I'm still like not even exactly sure if I could like put it in succinct words, like where to even start. Cause I'm just like, there was some hazing, and there was also like just the clients, learning how to basically interact with them. I feel like during your apprenticeship, you kind of learn, but not exactly. You have to like figure it out for yourself. Because like I said, being a kawaii girl or a soft girl and an empath, there was a lot that I kind of just got thrown into, and I didn't really exactly have the guidance and assistance that I would have liked. And mainly also because a lot of my mentors were men. So there were things that they weren't able to identify or address that would have helped me. So honestly, I'll be honest with you, a lot of my apprenticeship was very much unsupervised. It was, which is kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, fortunately for me, it gave me that drive to be more autodidactic and to reach out. And when I say autodidactic, I'm gonna just define that real quick, because one of my favorite words, it means self-taught. It did encourage me to be more self-taught and to reach out to other artists, and I say encourage, and it seems like such a positive light, but I actually had to do it if I wanted to continue. If I wanted to continue
to grow, you must do these things.
I had to do it because, like, girl, working in a masculine shop, I feel very ambivalent about it, because part of me appreciates the masculine environment of healthy competition and just like throwing yourself into something completely. But the other half of me is just like, you sacrifice a lot of your femininity and nurturing aspects to fit into an industry that didn't even see you coming, So, girl, there's a lot of things that I'm just like, I'm trying to paint it in a better light, just because it's very easy for me to feel more like a victim from the experiences that I've had. But I do think that the struggle keeps you hungry. It does, but at the same time, it fucks your mental health up. I was just like, yeah, I'm fucking hungry, I'm motivated, but I don't know how to take a nap, like.
What are some things that you're reclaiming now, like now that you are more in like a CEO level? Because I do think we do, like, I think every artist, like, to get to a certain, there's a give and take, there's definitely a sacrifice that happens. And you don't know it. And I think this is anything, any new space, honestly, because you kind of have to make yourself so small and become more of a sponge. But you're soaking up like all the negative, all the positive, all the fuck shit, all of the stuff you can actually take with you. So what are some of the things that you may be reclaiming as a sponge to be like, I'm squeezing these things out, you know,
That's
and
a
getting
loaded
back to
question
my
right
natural
there.
self?
It's a loaded question. I feel like I just had this conversation recently because when Poppy came to guest spot, they brought their shop apprentice with her, who was also a Black woman tattoo artist. And I was expressing to them some of my like inner thoughts about what it feels like to go from being an apprentice all the way to owning my own shop and being recognized in so many other states. And I think the best way I can describe it is it is a mind fuck. It is, because there is still that part of me that is still like an apprentice, and I'm still very much a servant. I'm still very much in a like humble serving mindset. So when I find myself putting on my CEO cap, and operating as the owner, I still feel like I said, there are parts of me that I'm reclaiming and owning and putting on my big girl pants and being like, yeah, I'm the boss of this shit. I run this shit. I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for 8 years. I think there is a little bit of a gap that I'm still bridging, because with that learning mindset, you got to stay humble to be receptive to new information. But then with the CEO cap, the lead artist cap, the owner cap, you have wisdom that comes, which is where your confidence comes from, And with one of the things I've noticed in the industry is talks about ego. A lot of talks about ego, rock stars and people not being coachable and whatnot. So I'm always trying to balance those two mindsets, being humble and open to receiving information, but also being confident and knowing that you have wisdom, you know what you're talking about, and don't question yourself, don't doubt it. Like, people you are leading, okay, you deserve to have that confidence and to really express it. So I think that's where the reclaiming part is coming from, because before I became an apprentice, I was a very confident person. I was a very confident person. You couldn't tell me shit, okay? I would come up in the place and just dominate. Now I am a little bit more on an even keel, actually. I think I'm finding that balance where I still like to serve. I do, but I am still in charge. Yes, I am here to serve.
I love it.
But I run shit.
That part.
When I started tattooing, man, like, to see another brother or sister tattooing somewhere was like finding a lake in the desert. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like there were whole states that didn't have nobody in them, mine possibly being one of those states. I think with the Black tattooing currently living legends, it starts with Jackie Gresham. I don't know if there's someone older that goes back farther than that, but I mean, and no one better to put the crown on than her anyway, because she's sweet and strong and just all that, she's everything. The tattoo community had a lot of pockets of racism in it, and a lot of safe havens for them. So navigating that was tricky. But I also have been kind of one of those like blissfully unaware kind of dudes too, like that I just go into shit because like I wanted to tattoo. And then I found out, I'm like, oh shit, I'm light as fuck, but I am as black as it gets within 700 miles of my home, and then I'm running into people like in DC and shit who are like, oh my God, it's so good to meet you. And I'm like, wow. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I was just kind of out there on a solo mission in it for a long time. And then so to feel that love, all building towards the point that I think it's cool to see what you're doing. And I think, I don't know what that family tree looks like as far as mentor to mentor, or like where the Black influence baton crosses over, or you know what I mean? I don't know what, because a lot of us that have been tattooing for any length of time were probably taught by white people.
Yeah, my first apprentice mentor was white.
Yeah.
I was, I'll say, my lineage I can follow back. My mentor was, he's out of Durham, North Carolina. He's a black tattooer. He's half black, half white tattooer. I actually had a white mentor at first. We were in the Navy together, but some things happened that I definitely don't want to record because he got in some trouble. So let's just say that didn't work out. You know, he was helping me, then something happened. And my homeboy, my man who became my mentor, he picked up the slack and he took me in. All right, so that's how that happened. You know, he taught me a lot. He was taught by a biker, and it was a female.
Really?
And yeah, it was a female.
Girl biker?
He said she used to catch some stuff about it. What you say?
You said it was a girl biker?
Yeah, it was a female. Yeah, she was in the bike thing. That's the shop that I worked in was owned by two older
mental wellness.
When I came into tattooing, it really wasn't available for African Americans that much. You had to basically, not actually, but you had to suck dick to get in the door with these other establishments. Like, they wanted you to do the utmost degrading stuff, and you know, I wasn't having it. I wasn't about to scrub the floor with a toothbrush for 8 hours or bark like a dog in the parking lot. I'm not doing that. That's out the door. And I've seen that affect people that went through that. Like, I had a guy that worked for me before, and he was he got apprenticed at a racist shop, and they made him do all kinds of things. And when he had the opportunity to apprentice somebody, he did the same thing. And I was baffled. I was like, why would you do that? Like, why would you have, why would you degrade somebody like that just based on, your experience? When I was finally letting the door in, and when I learned the basics of everything, I started spreading it like butter. I called all my friends. I was like, you want to learn how to tattoo? You want to learn how to pierce? Come on, let's do it. Because, apprenticeships here, he'll tell you straight up, you give me $15,000 and I'll teach you how to tattoo, or you work for me for free for 2 years. That was the deal here in Baton Rouge.
Damn.
So once I got in the door, I was trying to grab everybody I knew, and teach them and put them to work. Some laughed at, some didn't. They came, they learned, they left. But I never, I never wanted to put anybody through the way I learned. And not that I learned bad, but the guy that kind of taught me, he wouldn't let me watch him tattoo, even if he was tattooing on me. Like, if I sat in his chair and to get a tattoo, he would not let me watch. He'd tell me turn it. He'd do that with any customer. So it wasn't just me, but he would say you turn your head, like, don't watch. Like, they didn't. It was so secretive in the late '90s, in the mid and late '90s. It was so secretive. Like, you basically had to cut your hands and draw a pentagram and whisper some foreign words to get shit done in this industry. It was, it wasn't an Amazon. You couldn't just jump on the internet and order stuff. Basically, to get equipment, get supplies, you had to sign stuff in blood. Like, I remember it was called Zap Ink. It was in every magazine. If you look in like old school magazines, you definitely would see an ad for something called Zap Ink. It was supposed to be the best ink ever. When I finally got my shop, I tried to order it, and it was damn near, you had to sell your soul to get that ink. They wanted to know everything. Your social security number, your tax ID. It was ridiculous. I was like, yeah. So, needless to say, I never got that ink.
Damn. Sound like Perma-Pro down there in Texas, when we used to be in Texas. Yeah, they was the same way.
Yeah, they was the same way. Dermapro was the same way. I forgot what Dermapro used to be called before they changed the name to Dermapro. It was a small Texas-based, I think it was called Luna or something dealing with the moon. But anyway, yeah, there was another one that wanted blood if you wanted that ink.
Man.
So, I could understand, the mental health issues that come with dealing with people that were, stuck in, and they still got people that's stuck in the old school ways. They want you to, nothing wrong with it, but like draw 24/7, and these youngsters not built for that. They're not built for that right now. Like the way we came up in the 90s and the early 2000s, these kids now, they're not built for that. They wouldn't last. They would quit in the instant. They're not built for this. So when I meet them, and most of them, 90% of them that I encounter have learned on their own, and I don't degrade them and call them scratches or nothing. I just meet them where they're at. I see what they're doing. I tell them, show me your equipment, show me everything from your needles to your ink, and I start breaking it down from that. And once I break that down, and they get better equipment and better inks and better needles, their work tremendously improves. It's not that they didn't have the knowledge, but they didn't have the knowledge, So that's the wave of apprenticeships now. Like like back in the days, you'd have been called a scratcher, you'd have been ran home. You would never have walked into a tattoo shop and been like, I learned on my own. They would crucify you. They would literally try to set you on fire.
I'm just thinking about my apprentice, because when she